Hi there, and welcome to our video on the top 10 mistakes to avoid when building a PC. Building a PC can be a fun and rewarding experience, but it's important to avoid these common mistakes to ensure that your build goes smoothly. Mistake number 1. Not checking compatibility. The first mistake you want to avoid is not checking compatibility. It's important to make sure that all the components you plan to use are compatible with each other. For example, make sure the motherboard has the proper socket for the CPU, and that the graphics card will fit in the available PCI Express slot. Mistake number 2. Skimping on power supply. Another mistake you want to avoid is skimping on the power supply. A power supply that is too weak can cause all sorts of problems, including system instability and component failure. Make sure to get a power supply that is rated for your system and has enough wattage to handle all the components. Mistake number 3. Not installing the CPU correctly. Installing the CPU correctly is crucial for the overall performance of your system. If the CPU is not installed correctly, it can cause all sorts of problems, including system crashes and overheating. Mistake number 4. Forgetting to remove motherboard standoffs. Motherboard standoffs are small metal cylinders that are used to elevate the motherboard off the case and provide insulation. If you forget to remove these standoffs before installing the motherboard, it can cause short circuits and damage to the motherboard. Mistake number 5. Not properly grounding yourself. Static electricity can damage sensitive computer components, so it's important to properly ground yourself before working on your PC. This can be done by touching a metal object, such as the case, before handling any components. Mistake number 6. Not using thermal paste. Thermal paste is a substance that is used to improve heat transfer between the CPU and the heatsink. If you forget to use thermal paste, or use too little, it can cause the CPU to overheat and potentially become damaged. Mistake number 7. Not properly securing cables. Proper cable management is important for ensuring good airflow and preventing damage to the cables. Make sure to secure cables with ties or zip ties to keep them from getting in the way of fans or other components. Mistake number 8. Not installing a CPU cooler. If you are using a CPU that generates a lot of heat, it's important to use a CPU cooler to keep it from overheating. If you don't install a CPU cooler, it can cause the CPU to become damaged and potentially cause system crashes. Mistake number 9. Not updating the BIOS. The BIOS, Basic Input-Output System, is a program that controls the hardware on your motherboard. It's important to keep the BIOS up to date to ensure that your system is running as efficiently as possible. Mistake number 10. Not testing the system. After you have built your system, it's important to test it to ensure that everything is working properly. This can be done by booting up the system and running some basic tests, such as checking that the CPU and RAM are recognized by the system. Conclusion. These are the top 10 mistakes to avoid when building a PC. By following these tips, you can ensure that your build goes smoothly and your system is running at its best. Thanks for watching.